There it is, boys. Do you like it? I love it. Love it. It looks so sick. So this is actually a factory Jeep color from a JK. Don't know what year, so don't ask me, but it's called Dune is the color, and I think they only made it for 1 year. So pretty cool, and I have some things that are coming to go with this color that'll kind of tie in the whole kind of theme. This was a little weird, sorry about that. The whole theme of this Jeep. So, but first we gotta get it back together, and I'm just gonna kind of time lapse it because you guys have already seen me put all this stuff on once. So I'm gonna time lapse it or do some sort of fancy animation where it's just like boom, done. So let me start putting things back on so we can get the full picture. Here we go. All right, boys, we're finally back working on this thing, and we have a very, very big problem we need to address. Clearly, you can't steer a YJ like that unless this is like a new mod that maybe Matt Brody and his lowered street truck Jeep guys came up with called the low steer kit. But we're gonna put a high steer kit on this. And before everybody freaks out, no, this is not budget friendly. It is not. And I have been thinking of all these different ways to do this on a budget, and I didn't come up with any good answers. I had a couple, but as of right now, it's 1 week before we leave for Jeep Beach. And as you can tell, we're not ready to leave for Jeep Beach. So last week, I was racking my brain trying to come up with a solution for this. And then I thought, my good buddy Don at RPM, he's gonna know what the solution is. So I rang him up, I said, Don, it's Will at Force Motoring. I have a 1994 YJ problem, and I need your help. Can you help me? He goes, Will, of course I can help you. I've seen everyone talking about this budget build. Everyone around the shop and around, the local stores I go to are telling me how much better it is than Matt Brody's, and I would love to help you out with this. And I said, wow, Don, that's amazing. Thank you so much. He said, it just so happens that I have a kit to convert YJ to JK axles. I said, what? A kit? Don, I need this kit. He said, well, it's not exactly on your budget. I said, Don, I need the kit. He said, you know what, I'm gonna tell you what you do. I've seen all these other big companies sponsoring you, Revolution Gears, Nitto Tire, Dirty Life, PRP, of course, the boys at GenRight. I'm gonna help you out. I said, Don, really? He said, of course. I'm gonna send it down your way. What? I don't know which one I am anymore, but we're gonna install it now, and it's gonna really help things out. So let's do it. It's way up over there. I gotta go get it. But that's what we're doing now.
They're not bad. Like they do a fiber, but they are 20 grams of protein.
All right, let's see what we got in here. This will be a bit of an unboxing. Shout out to Dawn and Michelle for always taking care of us, by the way. They are some of my favorite people in the off-road industry. Super knowledgeable and extremely nice and great to talk to. So if you guys ever need steering, hit up RPM Steering and get yourself some high quality stuff like this. It's not a budget, but it is nice. Okay, so we got some instructions and stuff. Let me grab the camera and give you guys a better look at this. Okay, so there's one other item we need to go along with this badass RPM kit, and that is new knuckles. So the big problem we're having is where the knuckles mount and the tie rod goes across is the springs. So this is gonna address that. So these knuckles are from Rancho, and they are the most budget-friendly ones I could get. So there those are. And we're gonna get these in. Okay, people, so as you saw from the last clip of us scratching our heads like some morons, we have done a lot of thinking on how to make this work because it wasn't gonna work. So with leaf springs and high steer kits, it's tough, and especially if you guys have seen the stock YJ steering configuration, you have a tie rod and then the drag link mounts actually to the tie rod. So it's like a Y for YJ. And obviously that wasn't gonna work with the JK axle. So we've done a lot of thinking, a lot of calculations, and we've kind of set something up here, mocked up, if you will, how we're gonna make all this work. So let me move the camera, move some things around, and I'll show you what we're gonna do. We're gonna have to wait for some parts, but I think this is the best option. Okay, so as you can see here, there's two tie rods in here right now. This is the RPM one that we were originally gonna use. It is straight, which is fine. The straight part doesn't hurt us. Let me get this out without scratching it. The problem is that the ends are threaded for tie rods like this. So let me put this down. And we were originally hoping that we could use those tie rods and everything would clear, but it just doesn't work. So this is a Genrite tie rod, which is steel. It's the exact same thickness as the aluminum one, but it's threaded for heim joints. Now the heim joints gives you a lower profile here, which brings this tube up, which gives you clearance with the spring. So that's how that works. Now I was hoping I could just swap these over, but like I said, the threads aren't the same. And then up here, we have the RPM drag link that mounts on the top of the Rancho knuckle and goes into this pitman arm. Now this is a drop pitman arm because this Jeep did come with a 4-inch lift. I don't know how far it's dropped. I don't know what the lift was. I know nothing about it. I did order another one But looking at it, the geometry seems okay, so we'll have to figure that out. So I have a flatter style that we can use if that's the case. So, like I said, this video is sponsored by RPM. And I want to use RPM steering on here because they are some of the best people to work with in the industry. And I mean it. I talk to a lot of people, and Don will answer his phone on the weekends when he's traveling, when his wife doesn't want him to. He is the best. So thank you, Don, because what Don did, he said, you know what? I'll just mill out a new tie rod with the right threads for Heim joints. So this is the mock-up. Now we're just waiting for the new tie rod to come, and then we'll put that in with the Heim joints, and all of this will clear. This one has a curve, but the RPM one is straight. Now the RPM one is straight because the tie rods push it out a little bit so it would clear an aftermarket diff cover. With the factory diff cover in, straight will work. It'll clear at full lock. Everything's good. Eventually, my plan is to 3-link the front of this. I have a set of budget coilovers that I actually got for free that I'll eventually throw in here, and then I can put an aftermarket diff cover on. But for now, for like the budget side of things, it's gonna have the factory diff cover, straight tie rod, Heim joints, and then tie rods up here. So that's our plan. That's where we're at. We're gonna wait for some parts, and then in your time, it's gonna be like that. In my time, it'll be a couple days, and we'll put the new stuff in, and we should be good to go. Okay, so anyways, I hope that all makes sense to you. This is a shot of the passenger side, how we have things mounted, tie rod underneath, drag link on top, Rancho knuckles. So that's what we're doing. I wanna get as much information out there about this swap as possible because I think this is gonna be a very popular swap for people. These JK axles are relatively strong. This is just a Dana 30, and I think it's gonna handle the 37s on such a light rig, no problem. And they are cheap and available. I was just talking to my buddy Will at Carnage Motorsports. He's doing this swap on another customer's YJ JK axles. And so I think this is gonna be really cool. So I'm gonna work closely with Don, and then hopefully he just offers this as a kit, and now we know what works and what doesn't work, and you can just call me up or him up and order a set to make all this work. The other thing, I know we've mentioned it before, but these are rough stuff brackets to do the spring under conversion, and you can make that work easy enough. So anyways, we're gonna wait for some parts, and then we'll get back on this thing and we'll be able to steer. Let's do it.
Thousands of tears later.
That's right, guys. It's back in the shop after 2+ months sitting on the trailer in Virginia. We have the YJ back. So my sincerest apologies on the lack of videos. Now, why was it on a trailer in Virginia? If you don't follow us on Instagram, A, you should, but B, let me tell you. So we were just driving down the road, minding our own business in the Super Duty. We had this and the JKL on the trailer, and boom! We hit an expansion joint on a bridge that had a big pothole before it. So the truck went a little went up in the air and down, boom, big bang, no power to the truck. What was it, you might ask? Well, possibly the worst case scenario. So it blew up the entire rear end. The diff was just smoked. So we couldn't really diagnose what was going on the side of the highway. So we removed the rear drive shaft, and then we drove in 4-wheel drive with only this in the trailer. We took the JK off, and we drove to the closest Ford dealership. They pulled the diff cover off, and out came everything inside of the diff. So that really stunk. So what did we do? We left this there. Our buddy Ryan at Elevated Off-Road Lab was on his way to Jeep Beach with his single trailer. He stopped at the Ford dealership, took his Jeep off of his trailer, put it on our trailer, hooked up to our trailer, and drove it to Jeep Beach so we could get this there. Now, during all of this, we drove the JK on 40s with only 2 seats, don't tell the cops, from Virginia to Daytona Beach, no air conditioning. Let me tell you what happened next. So I know what you're thinking. Wow, what a wild story. Can you even believe we got it to Jeep Beach? And I wish that I had filmed all of this. It would have made incredible content. The type of content every YouTube creator dreams of having. But in the moment, there was a lot of stress involved and a lot of moving parts, and it was just a lot to take in. So I didn't really feel like pulling the camera out, putting it in people's faces, so I didn't record it. And what happened at Jeep Beach, there was still a lot of stress. So I got some stuff at Jeep Beach. I wasn't really planning on making a whole video anyway, but I do have some shots of this on the beach, which we will have in the final video, if you will. But that's where it's been sitting there because there was a shortage on the parts. We needed a back order or whatever to fix the truck. So it's set back on the trailer there the entire time before we got it back here. But it's back in the shop. So let me show you where we left off. So this whole video has been about the steering and has been sponsored by RPM Steering. So this kit is, as far as I know, the first of its kind, and it is a JK axle to YJ conversion steering kit. So we did a little bit of R&D for them, we got it all figured out, and it is really nice. So I'll get some up close detail shots of that, but let me tell you what it is. So basically, it is a set of high steer knuckles. You can use Rancho or the Reed knuckles. And then it is a tie rod from a JK, but instead of having tie rods on the ends, it has Heim joints. So Heim joints have a different thread than tie rod, so this tie rod has to be threaded for the Heim joints. Holy moly. So that goes on the knuckles. Then there is a drag link that is the specific length from a JK axle to a YJ steering box. And this is all aluminum. It is all of their rods from RPM have a lifetime warranty. They look sweet. They match our wheels. And let me tell you guys, this thing drives buttery smooth with these axles. So if you have a YJ and you don't want a 1-ton swap it, say you're only going to 37s, I would really look at these JK axles. It doesn't take much to get them in there. They're super affordable and there's tons of parts for them. So that's where we're at right now. So I'll get some up close shots and then we're gonna go over the budget. Okay, so in the last time we had the hood out, we did the PRP seats for 660. We forgot to do it last video. So the last thing we got for this was the, excuse me, sir. Okay, this marker, spoiler alert, doesn't work anymore because it's been so long since we've used it. Okay, all right, we're making progress here, hang on. Okay, so this is, I don't even think this is the right marker. SYE kit. Okay, That was 600. I'm new, guys, I'm new. 600 bucks. Okay, now what we did in this video was the RPM kit. Okay. Okay, so the RPM kit was 900. Okay, so if you remember the last video, after adding up the seats, we were at 8,710 bucks. So now the SYE kit was 600 bucks. So that brought us to $9,310. Then if you add the RPM kit for $900, that brings it to $10,210 we have spent on this thing to get it running and driving. So, as you can tell, it's a different color than it was last time you saw it. The color reveal will be at the end, I promise. We'll talk about it. That, not part of the budget. There's some other things we fudged a little bit here and there. We have one last mod we are doing on this before the final reveal, and that is re-gearing these axles. So I'm sure the haters will be in the comment section going crazy. We are officially over the budget, guys. But that's okay. This was a big experiment. I didn't even know if we could do it. But for $10,200-ish, we have built one heck of a Jeep here. So I hope you guys have liked the series so far. Only a couple videos left, and then we're gonna talk about what we're gonna do with this thing. So next video on this is gonna be gears in these axles. And I'm gonna try to make the most in-depth JK re-gearing axle video I can do. I'm not the best, but I'm gonna try. So stay tuned for that. Until then, boys, go and watch all the other videos, and thank you so much. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.